This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome to the sophomore, the second episode of Who's Next. I am Andy Atherton, one of your co-hosts, and we are back. Yes, we were not canceled after the first episode, amazingly, because we had a great time, and mainly due to my co-host, the Mississippi Mud Pirate, Logan Crosland. Logan, we're back for our next stint. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if we might have been on the north-south connection, we might have broken the time barrier, so we might have gotten canceled over there. But Scott's a little more lenient on that kind of thing, so we're good.
Yeah, and on the pop thing, it's like, dude, just keep recording until you feel like it. That's all. I mean, no, it was it was a bit of a lengthy pod, and for those of you listening that did listen to the whole thing, thank you. We appreciate it. We felt like, we want to keep these tight normally, but for our first outing, we really wanted to just kind of go over why we're doing the pod and our feelings on the roster. And now we can be more casual about it because, our feelings, our thoughts going in, and we want these, these are one-off episodes. You can just listen here, listen there if you like. We'd like you to listen to all of them and all the great pods on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network, G-Plug. But, we really wanted to give a good reasoning for what we're doing. And now we're going to get really into to the meat and potatoes, so to speak, we're going to be going over, the shows, the 4 episodes every month, talk about, the highlights, lowlights, who we think their stock is up, whose stock is down, and just give general thoughts on anything current NXT towards the end of the show. So, sound good, Logan?
Sounds great. Let's do this.
So we are covering 4 episodes tonight. The NXT 2.0 or NXT shows from November 1st, November 8th, November 15th, and November 22nd, 2022. So let's go back to 4 weeks ago. We on November 1st, we get opening with Braun Breaker doing a promo with Pretty Deadly and Wes Lee, basically all of our NXT title holders. What'd you think of this start of this show? Because I thought, I kind of like it when they get all the title holders together, especially when you have somebody like Wes Lee. This really elevated him, and he seemed like he belonged. Like he deserved to be there. What did you think of the promo to start the show?
Yeah, I do like when they all get the champions together. I think this kind of semi-exposed Breaker is not being super great on the mic. I feel like he was kind of lost with the other guys, like Pretty Deadly's super confident on the mic and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed the segment overall. I just think, maybe he could have – this is a spot where he needs to be put in to get more comfortable doing this kind of thing. But for an overall perspective, I thought it was pretty good. And it, like you said, it made Wes seem really important, kind of putting him out there with Braun and the kind of really established Pretty Deadly tag team. So I liked it.
Yeah, Pretty Deadly, who's very character based, so they're just comfortable being goofballs. Yeah, and Braun is more of a speak with his actions type, and also hopefully avoid talking like his uncle.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, and then we get to a Grayson Waller versus R-Truth match, which was basically full of comedy spots, effective rest holds, but the story to take away from here is, the injury to R-Truth, because it was, it was hard to tell in real time because of the picture-in-picture, but I was wondering where they were going to go with this, because Truth is a guy that seemed to be getting on TV a little more, even though they kind of got rid of the 24/7 title. And, we all know Vince loved Truth because he made him laugh, but he's a guy that you could put anywhere and get people over. The crowd still loves him. And, the guy is pushing 50 and in great shape. I don't remember him ever having a really bad injury for a long time. What do you think of Truth's run of late and the effect this injury could have?
Yeah, he's kind of a guy that you can plug in any segment, get some good comedy out of him, and he can put together a pretty good match. I mean, like you said, he's pushing 50, but I mean, he looks the same that he did probably 10 years ago, maybe a little bit older, but yeah, it's rare to see him have an injury like this. So yeah, he's been kind of an Iron Man for the last decade and a half for WWE, and for even more before that with TNA. He was always around. He hardly ever went out. So seeing him go down with this injury was kind of rough. And like you said, he was starting to be a little bit more featured on all of the programs, really. But he was coming down here to kind of have this little program with Grayson Waller, and I think it did Grayson gave him a good bit of help. Like I said in the previous episode, I feel like anytime there's like a main roster guy that may not be staying down there, like Apollo Crews obviously is down there for the long haul, it seems. But if they throw like an AJ down there, it seems like they always put him with Grayson. So I think they obviously trust Grayson to have like, semi good match and pull out a good segment with some of these guys. So I thought it did some good for him, but you hate to see Truth go down with the injury. Yeah,
Truth is a guy, like his character, you could just say like, so we're here on Monday Night Raw. No, Truth, we're at NXT. My bad. Like it just goes with it. Like you don't have to even explain it. And yeah, he can go in the ring. He's a guy that is tremendous on the house shows also. It really pumps the crowd up when you're like, you're sitting there watching some glorified squashes and things like that. It's not TV. And then you get Truth coming out and you're like, oh my God, like it really just puts an energy in the room. And the guy's been here forever. And when I hear his music, I still pop.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you could definitely tell that they've got big plans for Grayson Waller at some point. And Waller also, he had to kill a lot of time while they were trying to figure out this injury thing. Mm-hmm. So he did, he held his own in the ring. He had a promo, which was fine. I mean, but yeah, the guy, needs seasoning still, but I see him in the next 6 to 9 months, maybe coming up, but we'll talk about that later. Then we get Schism out for an interview. Some good character building for Ava Raine. They all get to speak. I really like Schism. I love the music.
Oh, yeah.
It's different from Wyatt Family. Wyatt Family was like a good old fashioned like cult. It was like, follow me, follow. This is kind of like a movement, so to speak. I don't know. It's more it's more city, I guess, than like Wyatt Family was kind of country to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it was the more southernness to that. This is a more of a inner city cult, I guess, so to speak. What do you think of this? Because we just gotten the reveal of Ava Raine, so she got to speak. Everybody gets to speak, and I do like that. Gacy is the leader, but everybody gets equal time, which sets it apart from the Wyatt Family, which we didn't hear Harper and Rowan speak for like the longest time, and when they did, it was okay. I mean, Harper was playing his character, Rowan is Rowan, but these guys, the grizzled young vets, Schism, they were good talkers to begin with, and partnering Ava Raine with them is only going to do her a world of good. But what do you think of Schism here?
Yeah, you can't take the mic away from Rip Fowler too long, the former grizzled young veteran. So, but yeah, I thought this was really good. Schism's one of those that's going to have to grow on me. I just haven't really connected with Gacy the whole time, but I'm hoping through this project and through just watching regularly that they'll kind of get there. But I thought Ava Raine sounded super confident in everything she said. She seems like she's got a knack for doing this, kind of like her dad did, I'm sure. This is a little different than the Wyatt Family, like you said, because it's more about the whole group and not more like, oh, they're doing Wyatt's bidding or whatever like that. So, I mean, they may be doing Gacy's bidding, but it's a group effort, and it's all about togetherness. And like you said, the theme music's awesome. The whole tree roots thing that they have in their entrance now with the mask and all that's really cool. So I think this one may grow on me, but we'll see where it continues to go from here.
Yeah, like the Wyatt Family is more of a believe in the man, and this is more of a believe in the movement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kind of feel. Yeah. All right. So we have a little backstage thing with Javier Bernal, who I have down on. I just this guy. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him in the ring, and I think his backstage skits, they're not doing him any favors. And we got Inofi and Blade outside of HBK's office. Odyssey Jones returns, tells Bernal that they're wrestling later, and then we also are backstage. Indy gets into it with Zoey, teasing a heel turn from Indy. So, what's your opinion on Javier Bernal and kind of the Indy stuff we're starting to see from Indy, which kind of goes through all 4 episodes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Javi, the backstage comedy skits, they're kind of funny, but they're not like super hilarious like they think they want it to come off as. Yeah. He's another one of those level up kind of mainstays. He's a main eventer there, I guess I'll say. He has a lot of matches down there. But it's good to see Odyssey Jones back. He immediately came in that prospects tournament and kind of got hurt right after that. So it's good to see him back in the fold. And the whole thing with Indy Hartwell, I think it gives her kind of something to latch onto. I think she's kind of been aimless since the way kind of went away when Gargano and Candice left for a while. Now they're obviously both on Raw, but she seemed kind of aimless for a while. So this kind of gives her a little bit of a character, something to kind of latch onto if she ends up turning heel or if they just kind of fires her up more as a baby face. We'll kind of see where it goes, but I like it for her direction.
Right. Yeah. I do like Indy is somebody that's been there so long that they need to like kind of do something with her. I mean, they had her with Persia. And then they had the whole, mass releases, and Persia was one of them. Who I wasn't high on Persia, but I kind of liked them as a team.
Yeah.
She was somebody that needed a lot of work. I hated the couples thing, by the way. Who was the hottest couple? I don't like that. I thought it was stupid. But I like her. I mean, look, I could even see her, maybe being, if they're going to be down there for a while, adding her to Toxic Attraction. And making her like the enforcer, which is something they're missing. They basically have the because I mean Arn Anderson is the enforcer, but he was never really wasn't always the enforcer. Like Wyndham, he was like that big guy. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're missing. Like because you have the tag team, you have the single star, you need that like bigger size person to kind of be the
bruiser,
driver. Yeah, the bruiser kind of thing. And I think Indy could really do well in that and get a little bit of a rub from the rest. Although she has come a long way. She was, a couple of years ago was where a lot of these girls are now. So the system does work. And when you're talented, it does show. All right, so we get Thea Hale versus Kiana James. They do reference a member of Chase U being gone, talking about Bodie, which we talked about in the last episode. Duke Hudson debuts as a member. We get some good character work from both. Thea is the perpetual underdog. Kiana has a mean streak. Duke tries to cheat but gets berated by Andre Chase, and then it ends with Charlie Dempsey attacking Chase and gets run off. All right, so what are your thoughts on this match, and as well as Duke Hudson joining Chase U?
I think it's a good direction for Duke. I think the whole Chase U thing is a good segment usually every week. I think it's pretty funny. I think they usually put something pretty well. I'm not super sold on Thea so far. I think she's pretty green. The like maniacal, like excited little girl that's super excited to be part of a team or whatever. It's kind of grating sometimes, but maybe it's another one that'll grow on me. Kiana James with the whole CEO of the business. She buys all of the. She tries to buy all the things, but nobody wants to sell anything to her. Is a good gimmick, and I think it could go places. But that's another one that's kind of wait and see as well. Pretty basic match, but I thought both girls did pretty well in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Thea is she's like that little like yip dog. That does like, come on, let me in, come on, like
Yeah.
thinks like they're like 10 times bigger than they are. I do like Kiana James. Her character work is really coming along. Her ring work still needs to move forward a little bit. Duke Hudson wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah.
So they needed, and if they they're getting rid of like the A pupil, so to speak. They need somebody to replace him, and I think it's good. It builds to the eventual turn. down the line, and does both guys well or good. I mean, they have a catchphrase, teachable moment that they lived off of, and Chase U is starting to grow on me, because at first I was kind of like on this, but now I'm like, okay, because you look at Dean Douglas, you look at Matt Stryker, not a best track record with these kind of gimmicks, but it is working with the whole student section and things like that. They're sticking with it, basically. They're not they're like, okay, we're gonna keep working this and see where we go. And we get a what do you think of Charlie Dempsey coming in? We do get a really good promo from him. In a few episodes, but what do you think of him coming in and attacking Andre Chase?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being Regal's kid, you're automatically excited, knowing the fact that he came from that kind of a bloodline. But he's had a few matches, or I've seen a good bit of his matches from NXT UK, and even he had a match with Andre Chase before that I thought kind of surprised me and a little bit. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but it actually ended up being a pretty solid match. So I'm really excited to see him come in and kind of start working with a lot more of these guys. So I'm excited to see him work with the rest of the roster.
Yeah. Okay. So then we get a promo with Briggs and Jensen and Fallon Henley. Fine for the most part. I mean, we're not going to break down like every promo and everything. We're just going to go through it. Then we have Odyssey Jones versus Javier Bernal, which is a good return match for Jones. Bernal bumped well for him. What did you think of this match in Odyssey Jones's return?
Yeah, this was obviously to put over Odyssey Jones, kind of as his comeback, first match for after his big knee injury that he had. Javier got his spots, but it was mostly a squash by Big Odyssey in this one, and I think he showed out pretty well. Another guy I'm interested to see going forward, and he kind of did a black hole slam that Abyss used to do in TNA, so I thought that was a pretty cool finish.
All right, cool. All right, so then we go to Mandy with Gigi and JC. They're doing a really good promo, and they get interrupted by Alba Fyre, and she ends up taking out Gigi. This is the start of a nice 3-week storyline for Alba Fyre and for Mandy, and we get some highlights also here for the huge year that Mandy had, which really, 18 months ago, if you told me Mandy Rose was going to be this long-reigning NXT Women's Champion and have great matches and be, almost Roman Reigns-esque, leading a faction here that has been, kind of the Mean Girls of NXT, I would have been like, you're nuts. But so what do you think of this where Mandy, does her like promo and Alba starts slowly taking out members of the faction to get to Mandy?
Absolutely. I was. I like the whole sort of celebrating the year as the champion. They didn't exactly land exactly on a year for the celebration. It was like 5 days afterwards or something like that. But they were celebrating basically that she had been champion for a whole year, and that's awesome to see. It's awesome to see that they've gotten behind her and stuck with her for this long. It really makes her championship reign seem really important, and it's gonna make the eventual whoever ends it be a real big deal when it does happen. But I do like that Alba quickly started trying to pick off each week as we go on Toxic Attraction members so she could have Mandy to herself when the title match comes.
All right. And then we get Apollo Crews with a promo, which is I thought it was actually pretty good. He gets interrupted by Von Wagner, another guy who's starting to grow on me. Mm-hmm. And then we get a SCRYPTS promo. Who is SCRYPTS? What were your thoughts on SCRYPTS at this moment? Because I was like, is this like the retribution? Or is this we going back to the person who was like the hacker? I mean, what direction are we going to go in here?
Yeah, I really haven't been able to figure this one out because they were kind of showing promos for T-Bar, I guess we'll call him, he's been burning the mask and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't sure if they were one and the same or if they were separate because they kind of were showing them at the same time, but they were kind of talking about the same thing, talking about like justice and that they were going to get even and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't know if it was going to end up being one and the same, obviously, as we'll get in through the episodes. That's not the case, but I was really interested to see who this was going to end up being. But as we'll get into it, it was not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah, so. I was. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, we'll get into it, but that one's gonna have to grow on me for sure.
We got Indy Hartwell versus Zoey Stark. I thought it was a fine match. I wrote in my notes, Zoey gonna turn heel probably on Nikita. and I'm being dead honest. I wrote it live. I didn't go back. Sometimes, we can't always watch these live, and we go back and we do the notes. So kind of sometimes we know the results. We're just going to but this I swear. I mean, look, I've been watching wrestling since I was 14. That's 30 something, 35, 36 years. So I've been. This is my first rodeo cowboy. What?
I said you're bound to get one right every now and then, right?
Yeah, once in a while. Hey, I called the Roddy turn years ago, and I'm still riding that train. So, what do you think of the Indy Zoey match?
I thought it was a pretty good back and forth match. You could tell that one of these girls was going to probably go heel eventually, but I won't say I called it like you did. But you could see a little bit more of the heel tendencies throughout the match from Zoey as she kind of did some underhanded stuff throughout the match, and Nikita had to kind of back her off with it, but Stark kind of ended up kicking her in the face and hitting her with a big clothesline and taking the victory. So you could see there's a little bit of heelish tendencies a little bit more out of Stark, so you could maybe see that coming, but you never know. It might just be her frustration with not winning the tag titles the previous week. So, but
yeah, had she been a man, this is where she would grow facial hair.
Yeah,
that's like facial hair is always like a good giveaway usually for a heel turn.
Mm-hmm,
like on Star Trek, they just whip a goatee on Spock. So then we get Valentina and Sanga in the back there, interrupted by Veer. And, I like Valentina, and I can't remember her tag. They were starting to get a little bit of a momentum there. Mm-hmm. Sanga, I thought, was kind of there. I mean, he hadn't really been doing anything for a while. I think bringing Veer back down was like the best move. You can definitely tell how they're being portrayed, and we'll get to them a little bit more as we go through this month of programming. But you could definitely tell they're not. Vince is not. This is not Vince. Like Vince would have, the Veer we got from Vince was, the savage, the just beating the shit out of people. Mm-hmm. These guys are a little more refined. This is definitely, from what I understand, it's a Shawn Michaels thing, where he's presenting them as aristocratic, so to speak, when they're outside the ring. Inside the ring, though, they do get brawly and can be like badasses, but they're not these like just presented as like basically like Indian versions of Samoans. Mm-hmm. So what do you think of Veer returning to NXT and starting to try to rekindle? Because we get because Sanga was a face basically, and you get Veer, and he's trying to turn him back to partner with him. It's like, do I do what's right? Do I do with my friend right? That's the kind of thing where Sanga's going to wrestle with over the next few weeks.
Yeah. I do like the little sophisticated touch that they kind of gave him. Didn't make them just the crazy savages like you kind of said, kind of like the Indian version of the Samoans or whatever. But they'll be brutes in the ring. They'll throw people around. They'll use their power to their advantage for sure. But it's nice to see that they have a little bit of character outside of that. And then you kind of slowly, I do like though they've kind of slowly turned Sanga to the point where they're going to be a team, and they're gonna. I think we'll talk about it as we go on, but I think they're going to go after the Creeds. They've already attacked them previously, but it seems like we're setting up a match going forward with them. And Yulisa Leon is Valentina's partner. So
yeah. I was starting to dig on them. Like I was like, okay, because we need more tag teams. Like they have to be a tag team. No more. I don't like put together tag teams. Especially like title holders and things like that. That's something I've never really been a fan of. But hopefully she's not out for too long, and we get them back together. So then we get Cora Jade versus Valentina Feroz. This is a quick match. I do kind of love Cora Jade in this heel mean girl gimmick. I am kind of digging it. What do you think of Cora right now?
I think she's doing some great stuff. I think the heel character definitely fits her. I think she was more of a heel on the indies as well, so I think this is kind of her natural place that she'd like to be. And the match, Valentina I think she wanted Sanga to come out to the ring with her because they'd kind of be buddies before this.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of upset that she didn't come with her, and that kind of played into her. She wasn't all into the match at the same time, so Cora was able to take advantage of that, use some underhanded tactics and eventually win the match. But I like where Cora's going, and I hope she continues to be prominently featured.
Yeah, and then we get Wendy Choo making the save as well when Cora was going to beat down Faraz. So that's building to something. Like I said, Wendy is a really good wrestler with a crappy gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they could they have started to like kind of change her look a little bit, but they have to keep changing it. I think not drastically though, just change it, like, because she's not going to be taken seriously on the main roster. Like if she goes to Raw or SmackDown with what her current gimmick, it's going to be like, what are we doing here? So I do like to see I like to see Wendy and Cora coming up. Well, then we get to Tony and Stax backstage. Elektra comes back after being passed over, basically, for Zelina Vega with the Phantasma's move up to the main roster. Then we get our main event for the night. We got Braun Breaker and Wes Lee versus Pretty Deadly. I thought it was a really good match. Kamala Hayes interferes, and we get Von Wagner attacking Braun as well. And we get Apollo. I can't even read my own handwriting. Something with Apollo at the end of the show. So
Apollo and JD kind of look at the screen, and he says he's the next contender, and
that's what I thought. Yeah,
shoots back at him. So
But yeah, thoughts on the match?
But yeah, I thought this was a great match. I thought featuring all the champions, showing what all they could do, was really great. Obviously, you kind of thought probably Breaker and Lee weren't going to win the tag titles, but it's good to put Pretty Deadly in a prominent position like that to show what they can do with the top stars, obviously in the promotion. But yeah, this one was going to end in some interference. So Carmelo coming out to kind of mess with Wes obviously makes sense, and that kind of gets him pinned by the tag champs. And then Vaughn comes out and tries to take out Braun Breaker as well, and was successful. And then, like you said, Apollo and JD are kind of fighting over who's going to be the next NXT title contender, and they'll have a match in one of the next episodes coming up. So those are a couple of interesting matches and feuds going forward that we'll talk about.
Yeah, they laid the groundwork for the next few episodes. It's not just one and dones.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so then we go to the next show, which was on November 8th. We got Schism opening the show, and we got Joe Gacy versus Cameron Grimes, and Gacy wins after Ava interferes, and this pretty much closes the book on the Cameron Grimes Joe Gacy Schism feud. What do you think of the match, and are you glad that it's over?
Yeah, this is one that I'm kind of glad is over. Like I've said, I'm not huge on Gacy, but I think he looked pretty good in the ring here. I'm glad he kind of got out of the youth pastor priest get up that he had on before. He had the whole get up in matches before. He's back in the tights and the knee pads and all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed that little outfit change. Grimes is great. He can pretty much bring up whoever he's in the ring with. But I think this is kind of maybe the point where he exits NXT. I think this is kind of a good way to write him out. Obviously, it took every member of Schism to take him out and help Joe win the match. It makes them look important going forward. But like I said, I think this is kind of Grimes' goodbye.
Yeah, it was a swan song. Definitely loses a feud, and it's time for him to move on. There's nothing else for him to accomplish there. I haven't watched Impact as much as I would have liked to, because it wasn't on easily findable on my cable systems and things like that. And I do remember him over there, and I thought he was pretty damn good. I forgot what his name was.
Trevor Lee.
Trevor Lee. Yeah, I thought I really did. I recognized him when he showed up in NXT. I'm like, okay, I know this guy, and I think he's solid in the ring. I think his character work has gotten better, so he's going to be somebody. We'll see him on the main roster before too long.
Yeah,
right, so
for sure.
then we go backstage. We got Axiom, Nathan Frazier, and JD McDonough, and we go to Carmel Hayes in the barbershop, and then we have Scripps interrupting with a message. So basically, just a lot of character stuff as we get through. Anything of note you want to mention in these 3 spots here?
JD was just his normal creepy self, just kind of talking about how much he's going to hurt Axiom in their match later. So not much other than that.
All right, so then we go to Sol Ruca versus Elektra Lopez. We get a new presentation for Elektra with video, and her tights have changed. We get Elektra winning, and we get Indy jumping her after the match, who's also starting to show a heel turn a little bit. I do like Sol Ruca. I think she's green, but she's got talent. She's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's kind of a little like Tiffany Stratton-esque. But I see her, give her some time, and she's going to be really good in the ring. The character stuff, the Surfer Girl, it's fine for NXT. I don't know if it's got legs or not. And Elektra Lopez, I like to see what we can get from her in this repackage. So, what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah. Sol, I think she was previously a cheerleader at university. I think she's one of those like WWE NIL people that they kind of signed out of college, obviously. She obviously has the athleticism. She can get up and jump around and can do all the crazy acrobatics that she could pull out throughout the matches. But yeah, Elektra's the kind of the focus here. This is mostly a squash, but Sol gets a little bit of offense here and there. But this is kind of to put Elektra over in her new character, or her new being by herself kind of character. So it was a good kind of show out for her. And then another featuring of Indy in the brawl afterwards. So maybe we'll get a match between them going forward. But I'm interested to see where all three of those girls really go going forward. Sol, like you said, is kind of green. But I think she'll eventually get into it, and maybe she'll turn heel at some point and kind of go away from the Surfer character. But I think it could work for her as a face for a while.
Yeah, I'm okay with her right now. And actually, we'll talk about it in a little bit. She does. I think her match she has a couple episodes later is really solid. Actually, yeah. I really did enjoy that match, actually. And Elektra, she really was never given that much of an identity on her own. She was pretty much thrown in Legado, so hasn't had a chance to establish herself as anything yet. So I really would like to see her on her own and see how she does. And we get JC Jane and Mandy Rose doing a FaceTime, and we get JC taken out by Alba Fyre, which continues the theme of started with last week with taking out Gigi, and we also have a Chase U thing backstage, and we're leading up to Andre Chase versus Charlie Dempsey, and Duke Hudson is ringside with Tia, however you say it, and then we get the match is going, and Dempsey's basically beating the snot out of him, but Andre is one of those plucky guys that like you can beat him up so much, but he just doesn't give in. You basically have to like knock his ass out to like beat him. And Duke Hudson ends up throwing in the towel to save Andre Chase. I'm not going to compare it to Owen getting Helen to throw in the towel, but we get similar. It's a similar vibe there. So what'd you think of the taking out of JC Jane and then the Andre Chase versus Charlie Dempsey match with Duke, costing the match, whether he was trying to cost him the match or whether he was trying to save him or not.
Yeah. I like the whole taking out of JC in the I think like mall parking lot or something like that. Alba came up, acted like she was a cop, like flashing lights and stuff like that. But I thought it was a good way to kind of take out another member of Toxic Attraction, so Alba next week could have Mandy all in the last women's match they're going to have. And the Dempsey Chase match was just a storyline progression to kind of show whether it's fake or whether it's real that Duke Hudson really cares about Andre Chase and doesn't want to see him get hurt worse than or as much as Charlie Dempsey could probably hurt him. And he could be faking it. It could be just all phony, and we'll probably figure out where he's going eventually. But right now he seems really dedicated to Chase U and doesn't want to see his new teacher get taken out. So it was a good little storyline progression.
Yeah, and then we get Fallon Henley apparently has a bar now, and that's her. That's going to be her gimmick. We get Hank Walker, who was a security guard, I guess, versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo. It was fine. Two guys that like I don't really care much about put on like a match. I didn't even write anything in my notes. I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. This should have been on Elevate or Level Up, whatever it was called.
Yeah, this is straight off Level Up. This definitely has been a match on there before. So
Yeah.
probably just to get these guys in front of a bigger audience and kind of show what they could do, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah. I do think they need to add somebody else to Tony's crew. I think his crew needs to grow a little bit now. We lost Two Dimes, who's over there actually in AEW now. I think we got to find a couple of Italian-looking kids to throw in there. You know what I mean? Then we get then we get the Grayson Waller effect with Von Wagner and Braun Breaker. Typical, it's like a Miz TV. It's like cutting edge, whatever. Let's put two people that are feuding, are going to fight, and let's have them talk shit about each other and then end up fighting, which is really what we get. Then we get a Cora Jade promo on Wendy Choo that is going to lead us into a match. So what do you think of the whole thing from Fallon Henley, giving her a little bit more to her character? We get the Walker versus Stacks, and we get Grayson Waller, and then we get the Jade promo. Anything of note that you like to stay on and that stuff?
Yeah, I like the giving Fallon a little bit more of a character. The bar owner that hangs out with Briggs and Jensen all the time. I think that gives her a little bit more of a character. Like we were talking about, the Walker Stacks match was just, kind of to get the guys on TV, kind of get Tony D'Angelo out there on commentary. Nothing spectacular there though. But the Grayson Waller effect. Von Wagner has that damn lisp that I just can't get past. So anytime he tries to act tough, I'm just like, it's the same problem I always had with Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, whatever you want to call him. I just couldn't take him seriously because anytime he opened his mouth, it was just like, nah, I'm good. But Breaker, I thought, sounded much more confident in this one. I thought he was a lot better in this segment on the mic. He actually at one point says, "Apollo Crews, there, I said your name. Are you happy now?" Because Apollo Crews has been acting like he's ducking him and, avoiding him and doesn't want to have a match with him. So I thought that was a pretty good line by Braun there. And then, Cora saying she isn't scared of Wendy Choo, obviously is going to set up a match between them 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that one's all about.
Yeah. Then we get JD McDonough versus Axiom, and McDonough basically beats the living crap out of him. I gotta say, I was a little familiar with him. I did watch NXT UK from time to time. I think he's a guy that's going to do well on the main roster. He's kind of like oh god, I had it in my head earlier today too when I was thinking about it. What's his face? The high flyer in the Nexus.
Justin Gabriel.
Yeah, he's like Justin Gabriel, but like with a shit ton more personality. That's how I kind of like reminds me of. Like he's just he plays that batshit crazy guy, and he's damn good in the ring. I think he's a guy that he may not win a major title. Like he was the cruiserweight champion or light heavyweight champion, whatever he was. But he's a guy that like on the main roster he's just gonna take off. I think. What do you think of this? And of course they put Axiom out of action for a bit. So what do you think of this match?
No, it really featured and showed how great McDonough is. I think he's going to be one of the better technical wrestler guys in the next decade. I think he'll be really featured on the on the main roster once he gets there. But I think he'll do what he needs to do here and maybe win a few titles before he's gone. But yeah, I think he's great. I think he's one of my favorite guys week to week watching, and I'm hoping kind of. That Axiom's taken out, maybe he'll go back to just being a kid. Hoping the gimmick may die a little bit because other than the kind of weird, entrance that's kind of cool. Other than that, I'm kind of out on Axiom so far.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit of a theme with another gimmick later on too. Yeah, so we got an Apollo Crews promo on NXT champion. We get Brutus Creed versus Damon Kemp. Anything of note in the Brutus Creed Damon Kemp match?
This was just to kind of it wasn't even really a match. It was like a 5-minute challenge.
Yeah.
Just kind of Julius won the ambulance match at Takeover, and this kind of won Brutus 5 minutes in the ring. with Damon, because Damon kind of turned on Brutus in the match, to cost them a tag team title. So he eventually gets a chair and just beats the crap out of him with it. So it was a good way to kind of put this, shut the door on this storyline and kind of lead into the Indus Sher, Sangha, and Veer feud going forward, because they cut a promo afterwards.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then we get a Dominic Dijakovic promo, burning the mask some more. We get Indy and Roxanne backstage, still teasing a heel turn for Indy. Then we get the NXT Women's Tag Team title match with Nikita Lyons and Zoey Stark versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. We get Carter and Chance, they retain, and as pretty much predicted, Zoey turns on Nikita. We pretty much saw that coming. I was just waiting for it to happen. What were your thoughts on the match, and what were your thoughts on the heel turn?
Yeah, as much as you kind of see the heel turn coming, I think throughout the match, Zoey played it pretty well, because even when in the whole finishing stretch where she almost runs into Nikita and almost punches her, and Nikita then kind of pushes her out of the way so she can take the brunt of the attack that Carter and Chance kind of throw towards her. It seemed like Zoey was kind of genuinely felt for Nikita, and that she was like, oh my gosh, she just saved me, and now I need to kick their ass and win the match for us. But yeah, I thought the whole match was well worked. It was an NXT Women's Tag Team title match. Carter and Chance are never going to have a bad match. It may not be all time or anything like that, but they're always really good in the ring, no matter who they face. But I think it's good for Nikita to have kind of a direction going forward, going for Stark, to kind of get revenge on her. And I think it's an interesting way to go with Zoey. I think, she was kind of aimlessly floating there, and after she kind of lost I thought maybe she would win the NXT Women's title from Mandy. I'm kind of glad she didn't at this point, but she was kind of aimless after that, and they kept throwing her in this tag and definite tag matches and stuff like that. So it's a good direction for her to kind of go forward. So interesting to see.
I thought she was good in the ring, but she just didn't connect on a character basis. Like and when I make these comparisons, I'm not saying they're equal. I'm just saying they're similar. Look at Rocky Maivia. Look at Ernest the Cat Miller. You give him some personality, let him be a dick, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's, where you get to really see them. And I think, Zoey, it was a good thing for her. She needed it, because she was not over, I'm sorry, with the crowd, but she's like your secret, entrant, and the crowd kind of is like, like, we like her, but yeah, like, really, kind of thing. I did like the turn. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's Nikita, pushing her out of the way, taking the brunt, really didn't make it seem like, oh, I got hit, now I'm just going to turn on you, kind of thing. So I did like the way it comes, and Carter and Katana Chance and King Carter, they're like plucky. Mm-hmm. They can move, they can. I do love their finisher.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I do love that finisher they have. So I thought it was a really good episode. So we move on to the November 15th episode, and this opens with Braun and Von Wagner. I really thought this was a fun Haas fight. Mm-hmm. Braun hit a nice Frankensteiner on Von Wagner. I thought the finish was a little weak with the spear. I think there was a little bit of a botch leading up to that. But all in all, I thought it was a fun brawl. What did you think of this match to start the show?
Yeah, not the absolute best breaker title defense, but it was a good Haas fight, like you said. I think this is probably one of the best Wagner's look throughout this whole run. He even kind of throws Mr. Stone to the ground towards the end of the match, so it'll be interesting to see if they kind of stick with them. I hope they do, because like I said earlier, Mr. Stone needs to do the vast majority of the talking in that relationship. But yeah, it made Braun look like a badass, like always. This is the first time he's really faced an opponent that's way bigger in height and just body mass than him. So it was kind of interesting to see him do that. And then obviously, like you said, they pulled out the Frankensteiner to go back to the kind of old Beverly Brothers, Steiner Brothers situation. So kind of an homage to their dads in that situation. But I thought it was really solid. It made Braun look great, and I wasn't a super big fan of Vaughn getting the title shot here, because I don't really think he's really earned it that much, but it's good to see a new guy kind of get a shot.
Yeah, it's a fresh matchup. It's something I like to see. And we haven't, Braun's mostly been, like you said, mostly been facing smaller guys, smaller, quicker guys. And it was good to have him in there with somebody who's a big guy that he's really got to, he's got to wrestle a smaller man match. He's got to be the one that does the quicker moves and flies a little bit. And I thought that was really, really good for him. So then we get an Alba Fyre promo with a recap of her feud versus Mandy. Then we get a Zoey Stark promo, explains the heel turn. Very, like I said, typical, but effective. She comes off, considerably tougher. She craps on Nikita quite a bit, praises Mandy, tells off the fans, like typical of, you people suck, you people, you didn't believe in me, and now I'm going to be a bad person. So what do you think of the Alba and Zoe promos here?
I think she's undeniable or whatever she yelled. But it was pretty good. Obviously, just the beginning of the heel process of her saying, "Oh, well, no, none of y'all believed in me. I was always second fiddle to everybody else." So good stuff. I mean, it's just the beginning of her kind of de-evolution into being a bad guy. So I thought it was pretty solid to kind of start this thing out.
All right. So we get Andre Chase asking Duke Hudson about throwing in the towel last week, and Duke says he did so because he was looking out for Chase U, which was a good reason, and I believed it, I guess. Apollo then talks to Braun about challenging him. Then we get an Indus Sher versus a couple of jobbers. One guy who I swear to God he was smaller than Alexa Bliss.
Oh God.
Indus Sher, which is Veer and Sangha, a unique tag style where when they're tagging each other, they're kind of giving each other their biceps, which I thought was interesting. Veer, I gotta say, Veer, his standing elbow drop is pretty damn cool. I love it. It was a solid squash match, and then they cut a nice promo about not being respected in America, although being loved or beloved in India. So what did you think of, we had the Andre Chase with Duke Hudson, we have Apollo, and then we have the Indus Sher squash match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. The whole Duke Hudson thing, I thought that was good. Character building, kind of like I was talking about in the previous episode. It's good to see him give a reason for why he threw in the towel, that he cares about Chase U, that he cares about Andre Chase. And then, to build that relationship even more for possibly the eventual, not caring about the relationship anymore. But it's good to see that little built, and that he loves the university so much and he just wants to be part of the team. So it was good to see that kind of go forward. Apollo obviously puts out the challenge that he wants to go for the title next. And then Indus Sher, them just chucking around and throwing around these guys was always fun to watch. And I'm interested to see. I'm really interested to see them go after the Creed brothers, which I think we'll probably get at deadline. So I'm interested to see that match. So definitely looking forward to them.
Yeah, I was intrigued by them, but then I thought Sangha, like, he was the one that got in a little trouble, right? Because he posted a picture of a spoiler, right, on his Instagram or something.
Yeah, I think
somebody
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody winning a title or something on a tape show. So I don't know if that led to them being split up and Veer coming up to the main roster for a cup of coffee, but I do. I'm glad to see these guys back because I do like them, and you always need a nice brawling Haas team. I mean that has direction too, has a story. They're finally starting to do with the Viking Raiders, where we're getting more character, more direction from them. They're not just guys who cosplay.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a good time for the Creed brothers to kind of have somebody that's bigger than them because they're usually the bigger guys when they have a match. So these two guys match up with them pretty size wise. So that'll be a good match to see. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we get a Wendy Choo promo about Cora. Then we get JD McDonough versus Apollo Crews. I thought it was a really good match. We get Apollo with the win. McDonough's one of those guys though that still looks good in defeat. He could take a beating. You know what I mean? He's just one of those that he gets the shit kicked out. Kind of like Andre Chase, but different. Andre Chase is just, he just has so much heart. You can't put him down. McDonough's just so batshit crazy that it's one of those guys you get that if you ever got into a fight with at a bar, you want to fight me? You want to fight me? You better fucking kill me because I'm crazy. Those kind of people. Like you just
Yeah.
you just have to beat him down because he's not going to stop just because he's got a screw loose. So what do you think of this match?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get eviscerated for this comparison, but like, and I don't think we ever saw this version of this person in WWE because when he was a heel, he's kind of more of a goofball. But JD reminds me a lot of Daniel Bryan. Actually, I think he's really good technically. I think he's very good at getting his ass kicked at the same time. So I know I'll probably get killed for that comparison, but maybe a young Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him. I think that we never got the real cerebral Danielson that we may have gotten in ROH or stuff like that in WWE, but I think he could be kind of that version of Bryan going forward. I think he's really good. Obviously, he's not as good as Danielson. I'm not saying that at all. I think he could grow into that. I think he could maybe become that eventually. But I think he's just really great, so I'm going to overhype him probably. But yeah, like you said, he looks really good in defeat here. I honestly thought he might win, and they might go with Breakker and him again, and maybe this time he actually beats Breakker. But I obviously know that they've been building this Apollo thing for a while. So while I was kind of shocked that JD lost, I'm also not surprised that Apollo won at the same time. So. But I'm looking forward to Apollo Breakker, but maybe if this could have ended in some kind of schmozzy fest and this could have been another triple threat, I would have been okay with that too. But I'm interested to see Apollo and Braun go at it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good match. Yeah, look, if anybody's getting killer comparisons, the ones I've made, I'm gonna one that's gonna get killed. Don't worry, trust me. I'll be the shield for you.
I appreciate it.
And then we get a Mandy interview who on this episode she's cosplaying as Nikki Bella basically. We get another Javier Bernal promo where he challenges people who can't wrestle. I just think this is not hitting with me. I don't know why. Then we get a North American title contract signing with Wes Lee and Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo, is the goods. Wes is coming along as the plucky underdog champion. Trick Williams annoys the crap out of me, but he does his job to protect Mello, and Booker T's there, so no shenanigans. Mm-hmm. So what do you think of these promos and this contract signing?
Yeah, Mandy with Nikki Bella cosplay get pretty called out on Twitter all that night for that. Everybody was calling her Mandy Bella or Bella Rose or whatever. Just another stupid big body hockey promo with a list of people that are hurt, and I do like his little back and forth with what's the girl's name? The
Mackenzie?
Girl interviewers. Yeah, Mackenzie. Him and Mackenzie have some good chemistry, and she kind of shits on him, so I enjoy that. I enjoy that part of it for sure. But I want whatever they're going to do with this to kind of move forward a little quicker. So, because I'm not super into it like you are. But the contract signing was really good. I think, as much as maybe in the previous episode of the podcast, we may have talked about, we wanted to see Wes Lee get a little bit elevated and, with winning the championship, become to the level of that championship. And I think he really did well on the mic here. He returned everything. Hayes is really good. He's great overall. He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. So you're not going to be up to his level yet, but I think he held his own in this one. And I kind of like that it didn't end in violence.
Yeah. We don't have to. Every contract signing, every one of these things doesn't have to end with a table getting flipped, somebody going through a table, there being a Pier 6 brawl. It's okay to just use the words. And, I'm sure we're going to differ a little bit. I do like the respect that they showed Booker, basically. Because Booker was the one running the contract signing, these two guys didn't mess around. And I kind of like that. They had some reverence for him, whether, you like him or not, as a wrestler, as a personality. I kind of like him. He does get grating at times, but I do kind of like him. Then we get a Dijak promo all about his return. We get Odyssey, Malik, and Idris backstage, where we kind of learn about the meaning of the V-neck sweater. And then we get Briggs and Jensen versus the Dyad with the Schism back out there. We get great presentation of the Schism coming out with the different sins. I guess 7 deadly sins on their masks. We get Jagger Reed almost buys it, in the announce table. He nearly misses, getting taking a good one there. And now Keanu James interference with Tatum leads to the loss, which I thought was, yeah. I mean, look, and it goes with, Jensen not, I don't know. They're trying to make him like he's just, he can't keep his eyes off the ladies. If anybody gives him attention, all that, he's like that perpetual, like, I don't know, certain people we know, I'm not going to mention names, when you go on certain trips and they're hitting on certain everything that walks around. That's what they were kind of reminding me of. And I don't want to say.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You have no idea what I'm talking about, Logan. But that kind of guy. I mean, I thought Briggs looked good in the loss, being a big guy that gets the crap beat out of him, and the Dyad wins. And I thought it was a good match overall. Didn't love the finish, but that's just because I just don't like Briggs. I don't like Jensen.
No,
I don't know. I confuse it. Yes, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. I don't like Brooks Jensen anyway. So what do you think of we had Dijak and we get Odyssey, and Malik and Idris, and then we get the tag match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Brooks Jensen is modern day Phineas Godwin. Looking at anything that has
yes, he is.
Looking at anything that has boobs with with the big hard eyes and everything like that. So, it's kind of goofy to have him kind of be like that. Briggs is obviously more serious and is probably the better part of the team. And I know it's trying to build his character, but they need to do. They either need to go full in on that or kind of just make them a serious tag team going forward. But I like seeing the Dyad get the Jagger and Rip get the win, but I wish they could have done it in a little less controversial fashion, I guess. But cleaner a little bit. But obviously good to see another T-Bar Dijak promo, and then it was good to kind of get the origin story of the sweater vest. So I was happy to hear that that was something that meant a lot to Malik. So, but yeah, just I would have liked to have seen the match go a little bit cleaner of a finish, but obviously the Dyad Schism thing, not much that they're going to do going forward is probably going to be very clean. But I think they could have beaten these guys clean if you really wanted them to. But yeah, not back segments back to back, but would have liked to have seen the match go in a different direction.
Yeah. And it wasn't even that they led to the chicanery there. It was Keanu James that led to the
I know, yeah. Mm-hmm.
the unclean finish, so to speak. All right, then we got Shawn Michaels' big announcement for a Deadline, the Iron Survivor Challenge. It's basically an Iron Man match, but it's got a gauntlet style, I guess. I'm kind of it's just going to be something like we have to see it in action to really judge it. I mean, we could talk about all we want about it. They're trying something different. So I'm really curious. We're going to get the announcement on the episode that is airing the day after we record this, so we won't be talking about it for another few weeks. But what were your thoughts when they first announced this Iron Survivor Challenge?
Yeah, I like the idea of it. It's kind of like the Mike Adamle original scramble matches that were on Unforgiven that one year, where they did all the title matches were the scramble matches, and it was 25 minutes or whatever, and every 5 minutes somebody else comes in new. So it's basically that with like Iron Man steps. So in that match, the original, if you pin somebody, you were the champion for as long as you didn't get pinned, and whoever was the champion at the end of the 25 minutes or whatever it was the undisputed champion. Whoever ended up being the quote unquote champion at the end of the match was the person that would get the belt. But this is kind of that, but with falls. So it obviously you want to enter early so you can get more falls. You want to be one of the first two people in, I would feel like, so you can get that little bit of an advantage on the people coming in later. But it's one, like you said, it's one of those things that you're going to have to see to kind of understand and maybe see how well it's going to work. But I think those matches back in the day I think that was like 2008. I think it's a lot of the stuff that they're going through on Place to Be podcast right now. So it's something you're gonna have to see in action to kind of see what it's going to look like. But and they added the penalty box from the King of the Mountain TNA match, so it'll be interesting to see how they all put it together.
Yeah, and plus it's not just the pinfalls and submissions; it's DQs and countouts. So it's a lot to take in. I think we're just gonna basically just make some popcorn and sit back and watch and see what the hell is going to happen. All right, so we get Indy Hartwell versus Tatum Paxley. It was a fine match, good. Win for Indy. Paxley, I do like her, a bit green. Then we get another SCRYPTS promo, and we get Indy and Roxanne backstage, and Roxanne is questioning Indy. Indy is, starting to be quite a bit heelish. So, yeah, again, the only problem I have with this Indy thing that's happening is that it was pretty much starting to go concurrent with Zoey. And it's like, we don't need two people kind of being heelish week after week and eventually getting that turn, which I think we're going to get very soon. She's going to, Indy's going to be full on heel in the episode. Again, something else that's going to happen in the episode after that we're covering tonight. So what were your thoughts on this Indy Hartwell Tatum Paxley match, another SCRYPTS promo, and what's going on between Indy and Roxanne?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the match between Indy and Tatum was pretty good. It was kind of a feature match for Indy, kind of show what her dominance and what she can do. Obviously Tatum gets a few shots in here and there, but obviously it was a way to get Indy more featured and to show off that she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this division going forward. I think Ivy gets involved after the match to kind of get Hartwell to kind of lay off of Paxley at the end. So it's good to see Ivy get a position like that as well. But yeah, obviously they're going for somewhat of a heel turn. She's obviously going to get all angry at Roxanne at some point and finally have enough and probably take her out. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I kind of wish they kind of could have staggered them a little bit, because I mean, even if they hold off on this for 2 or 3 more weeks, it's still really too close to Zoe's turn. So I think they probably could have already gone ahead and maybe done this before Zoe turned, and then maybe turned Zoe a little bit later than they did. But it's a little too close together for that. And then SCRYPTS, obviously, it's hard to talk about how cool the promos were, knowing where it goes, because as we'll talk about in the next episode, I think, as we've already kind of alluded to, it's not something we're super high or excited about. So it's interesting. I like how they kind of led to the debut, but we'll get into it next episode.
Yeah. So we get our main event. Oh boy. Then we get in the main event of this episode. We get Alba Fyre versus Mandy Rose in the last women's standing title match. I thought both ladies worked really hard in it. It was a fun match with some really good spots where they used the arena and the accoutrements around there. And then we get the ending of the match where we get Alba going up on the ladder. All of a sudden the camera, we only see the top of Alba, and she turns around and there is Isla Dawn. With interference, she spits something in her face, and she goes through the table. Alba, that is, and Mandy ends up retaining. I thought it was really good use of Isla Dawn debuting here, and her character, like even this, like a little inkling we get of her character. It was really good. I honestly thought Alba was going to be the one to take the title off of Mandy, but I think that ship has sailed for now. I mean, I don't know how much longer Alba may be down there. I mean, she's somebody that has been around long enough between NXT UK and NXT proper to maybe, maybe she'll be around for a few more months at least, because we see she's about to enter a feud with Isla Dawn. But what do you think of this main event and the debut?
I thought the debut was really well done. I'm interested to see her going forward, and obviously this feud with Alba. I'm with you. Like, Alba And again, you say you thought maybe she was going to be the one to beat Mandy. I've been saying that for 3 or 4 months at this point, so I'm just going to shut up. And when they beat her, they beat her, So I've been saying every NXT special event or whatever, I'm like, oh, this is when they beat Mandy. Oh, this is when they beat Mandy. I keep being wrong. So until they do it, I'll just shut my mouth about it. So, but yeah, this match was really good. I think it showed a side of Mandy that we don't usually see. She had to dig into the a little bit of the hardcore areas and a little bit more brawling and fighting style. I think she rose to the occasion as she usually does. Alba, obviously, being the veteran, led her really well as well. So, but kudos to both ladies. I thought this last woman standing match was really well done. And then, like I said, the debut was really well done, and she's going to be a good featured part of the women's division going forward. I think Isla will be.
Yeah. I thought this was a solid episode, solid ending of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to last
one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really like. I didn't talk about this earlier, but I really like that they opened the show with the NXT title match, but it really made the women feel important to the show. Yeah. And it made Mandy and her title reign and Alba as the challenger look even cooler and more awesome that they were in the main event. They got to be the main event. They were the big match. They were the feature match for the episode. So I thought that was really cool how they did that.
Yeah. That they there's also been some nice. I don't know if you want to call 3 weeks long-term storytelling, but they've been building these matches. So it's been really fun. Not a lot of like just throwing together things. There's definitely a storyline that they're putting together for everything. It seems like down there. Okay, so then we go to our last episode we're going to talk about tonight is the NXT from November 22nd. And we get Toxic Attraction opening the show where Mandy is talking about the Iron Survivor Challenge, where she doesn't get to be in it, but she will learn of her next challenger. We get Gigi and JC calling out the tag champs, which brings out Kaden and Katana, and then a brawl ensues with Kaden and Katana trying to take out all of Toxic Attraction and end up getting laid out. So what did you think of the start of the show? Because I really did like it, and it continues keeping Gigi and JC in the tag title picture, and Mandy just getting to glow because she earned this. She earned this, not necessarily a night off, but like a chance to just be like, I am the woman, basically, kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was really good to kind of end the previous episode with the title match and her retaining, and then opening it here with her kind of saying, "I did it. I'm still the best bitch around. These are my girls. This is our NXT, and as long as we're here, we run this show." I thought it was a really well done that they opened the show with all this, and kind of putting JC and Gigi back in that tag title division, that tag title chase. Obviously, whenever Mandy does lose the title, I think it's going to be a pretty quick transition for them to the main roster, all 3 of them as a group. So, but it's good to see them still involved with that at least.
Yeah. We'll talk about Mandy and what we think could be happening with her in the next month or two at the end of the show. Then we get Wes Lee walking in, and we got Tony D talking to him, who's probably setting up to be the next North American title challenger. Not sure how long until he's actually back in the ring, because I think he's still injured, so they might be doing some long-term storytelling here. Mm-hmm. We get Grayson Waller with Duke Hudson backstage. Grayson basically calling out the bullshit. He thinks he doesn't believe Duke for a second. And then we get Cora Jade versus Wendy Choo, which was a decent match. Cora with the heel finish, throwing the whatever was in Wendy's tumbler in her face, and basically continuing that mean girl thing. And so what do you think of the Tony D possibly being Wesley's next challenger? We got Grayson Waller and Duke Hudson, kind of the part of the whole 2.0 class. I guess these guys have to have a history together, because not saying all Australians know each other, but they probably have run in similar circles coming up. So they're trying to build a history here. And the Cora versus Wendy match.
No, yeah, I definitely think Grayson and Duke are bros from growing up together. Obviously, like you said, not every not every Australian knows each other, but I have a pretty good feeling that they're buddies backstage. But it was good to see kind of Tony D, even though he's hurt, kind of still be featured, and maybe he will go after Wes when he comes back. I don't really know the timetable on his injury either, so maybe he'll be back sooner rather than later. But if it's not, maybe it'll be some kind of long-term storytelling, like you said. But the match, I thought it was pretty good between Wendy. I'm a little higher on Wendy than you are, but Cora was awesome as always. I really did like that somebody finally did use the tumbler to their advantage. I've always wondered, she brings it out to the ring, and it obviously there has coffee or, orange juice or milk or something in it. I couldn't really tell what it was, but I'm surprised nobody's used that to crack over her head before, or, pour whatever's inside all over. And, after the match, she, Wendy, all because of the makeup and all of her fake eyelashes and stuff, falling all over her face. I kind of get the feeling that we're coming for a, little bit of a character change, maybe not completely drastically or whatever, but I think this is going to make a more aggressive side of Wendy come out, because she's tired of being pushed around and kind of bullied by these baddie girls that are all around. So I think this could be a different change of direction for Wendy going forward. But the match was pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I like her in ring. I'm not. I'm more down on her character. That's really what it is. It's no fault of hers. She's doing the best she can. They like I said, they got her out of the goddamn onesie, which I couldn't stand that. Oh my God, I just did not like that. So they're baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. But yeah, I do see what you're saying with her with the fake eyelashes and I've had all I can stand since I can't stand this no more kind of thing coming from her. Then we get Apollo talking about his journey and his upcoming title match. We get a Kiana James promo and interview, and Javier Bernal again with another list of challengers. One thing I did make note of, there was a Drake Maverick name drop.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then we said something about Drake, and Mackenzie goes Drake Maverick. So I was like, I like that guy too. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. Chase U backstage, Pretty Deadly interrupts. It's Chase U sans Andre Chase, so he's not there. And Duke gets into it with both of them, and that leads to then there's like a pile-on, and we get what's her face? Thea is there, like the little yippy dog again. So what do you think of all this, outside of the ring stuff? We got Apollo, we got Kiana, Javier, and Chase U with Pretty Deadly.
Yeah, I liked Apollo kind of saying he's ready for Braun Breaker, and that we officially do get the announcement that match is happening at Deadline. So that'll be at our next special event coming up, that they'll face off with each other. So I'm kind of, like I said, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm not super duper excited for it, because Apollo is just one of those guys that it just doesn't excite me. I mean, he's good and all, but I'd rather see other guys get that shot. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it'll be a good match and they'll prove me wrong. Kiana obviously is trying to get some revenge on Diamond Mine, so it's good to see her kind of go after Ivy, and for Ivy to get another kind of show up in there. So big body Javi coming in with his big list again, challenging people that are still hurt. They even say something about Elon Musk at one point, and that he's not paying $8 for the check mark. And Mackenzie asked him how many followers he said, and he says 2,000 million. So he has some good one-liners, but it's pretty cringe at the same time. But I did enjoy that for a couple of one-liners. But then the Chase U thing, Pretty Deadly coming after Duke. I thought Duke showed too much fire for the university to kind of defend him, and even though he was by himself, he kind of stood up to the tag champions.
Yeah. For the U, man. Yeah, I'm like you with Apollo. I'm kind of like, were they trying to walk back the mistake of bringing him up way too soon to the main roster from a few years ago? I mean, the guy is solid in the ring. It's just, again, I did kind of like that like Nigerian royalty type thing he was doing for a while. I would like to have seen a little bit more of that, but I just think they didn't execute as well as they could. But having him down in NXT, it's like a veteran hand, a guy that they could plug in here and there, like a more vanilla version of Truth, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I mean he's a good guy to have down there to kind of teach the younger guys or get the younger guys a little bit more okay with the style and all that kind of stuff, and kind of help them get a little more comfortable in those situations. But he's just not a guy that excites me. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. I'm interested for sure.
All right, so then we get Ivy Nile versus Kiana James. Both ladies look good in this match. Fallon interferes to cost Kiana the match in a measure of revenge. We get Ivy with the big win. Then we get Diamond Mine and Creed Brothers cutting a promo on Indus Sher. I do really like how Ivy is starting to come along now. You know, she was this you really didn't see much of her. She again on Elevate or Level Up, whatever it was called for a while. Now she's getting on the main show. Now she's kind of she's the alpha female definitely, and they added Tatum Paxley I guess is part of Diamond Mine now, and she with Roddy being out and she's kind of I guess maybe the de facto voice of reason in this. Like I don't know exactly what she was telling the Creeds in there when they were calling out in this year, I guess based on her relationship with Sangha, I guess maybe I don't know. What do you think of this match?
I think she was telling them their lines. I'm just no, but I do like that she's getting a little bit more. I love her finisher. I think they call it diamond chain lock. I think it's really she kind of is a dragon sleeper, but she kind of locks her arms behind her back to get a little more extra pressure. I think it's a really cool move. I do love that she's being featured a little bit more because, like I said in the previous episode, she's one of those that's on Level Up a lot, but she's definitely featured. She definitely wins a lot. So I'm hoping that that'll eventually transition into the regular show. It looks like it's going to. But I think she kind of fell behind the Creed brothers. I think the Creed brothers caught on so well, and a lot of people started loving them a lot. So I think she just kind of faded to the background of Diamond Mine for a little bit, and then they brought in Damon. So I'm hoping that now will be the time that she gets to kind of emerge. So I'm really happy to see all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree with you. And then we get an Isla Dawn promo, establishes her character, basically the witchcraft and all that stuff. We got Chase U backstage, and Duke tells them about the tag title match, which gets them all excited. We get the long-awaited debut of SCRYPTS, and I was kind of like, Now, honestly, I kind of saw that. I saw this live, but we were, cheap plug. We kind of got I kind of got short notice that Peacock was now on board at Streamlounge, so we kind of scrambled to get a wrestling watch in before Thanksgiving. So we watched Rumble 90. So I had to turn off NXT going. So I kind of didn't really get a chance to really watch it like I wanted to. And first I was kind of like, what? I was trying to make sense of it. And then I started noticing the flippy dippies. And I was like, oh, and I kind of look a little closer. I'm like, that's Reggie, who I hate. I didn't like the character. He was a freaking sommelier, right? I thought he was okay in the ring. He was a guy that, like, maybe, if we kind of, repackage him, not like this, we get something. I hate the mask. Yeah. So let's, before you get to talk about your feelings on SCRYPTS, what do you think of the Isla Dawn promo and the whole Duke and telling Andre about the tag titles?
Yeah, I thought the Isla Dawn promo was pretty good. Obviously, talking about why she kind of went for Alba Fyre, their history in NXT UK, and that I noticed over the past few months, but she's the person that was kind of behind the little like technology glitches that they would have throughout the show. So it was good to kind of have a part of a kind of left loose thread tied up with that one. It was good to see fired up Duke Hudson he actually got them a good tag title match. And my favorite part about the Chase U segments that they do is they'll let Andre Chase basically say anything. So he was like, what the fuck are we still doing here? Let's go to the ring. So, I mean, they obviously bleep it out, but they'll let him say pretty much anything. But they'll just, bleep it out, obviously. But it's so funny. But yeah, SCRYPTS, good God, the mask.
There you go. Let it out, Logan. Let it out.
I did not watch it live, but this is one that I saw on Twitter, and it just got immediately.
Yeah, you messaged me. Did you see the scripts, Dave? I said,
this is not at all what I was expecting. They obviously doctored the voice of the phone calls that were coming into the performance center from this character. They made it sound real deep. So I mean, I was thinking it was going to be like a bigger guy. I didn't imagine Reggie in a mask that looks like Cyclope from WCW. That's not at all what I was looking at. And, I feel like he's supposed to be intimidating. That's the vibe that I got from the promos. But he's supposed to be like eloquent, and he still does all the like Reggie moves in the ring, so it just doesn't work for me. And he does all this little penmanship, like little hand strokes when he's dancing around the ring. It's awful. It just didn't hit with me.
I was expecting like a badass revolutionary. Instead we get a calligrapher, basically.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I'm making these. Oh no, it's
the only thing. The only thing that I did like is that it seems like after every one of his matches, he's going to write like a note and put it on his opponent's chest. But the way that it got there and who it is and what it looks like, not a fan.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean, HBK, whoever did this. This is probably one of the bigger disappointments of NXT. Recently. And it's not against the guy. It's just the gimmick it just doesn't work. I mean, I would repackage Reggie, maybe put him in a tag team or something like that, maybe. But this was not what I ordered. Basically, it's like I see these promos. This was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a superhero instead of I got a cartoon or something. What I mean?
And with that on top of Axiom, I feel like I'm the same way on. It's just it didn't work for me, bro.
No, not good. Then we get another we get Schism come out for a promo, and they basically sit at a table and crap all over Thanksgiving. They pull someone out of the crowd, obviously a Mark, and they end up putting him through a table. Then we get a Trick Williams interview with Wes Lee interrupting, and basically talks Trick into staying backstage for the North American title match later on in the show. So what do you think of the Schism promo, and what do you think of the Trick Williams thing?
Yeah, the whole shitting on Thanksgiving was kind of a weird way to go, but I think it worked for him. I think it was a good promo. They renamed Thanksgiving into something else. I can't remember exactly what the word was, but it was something Invictus, I want to say. But it was a good promo. It was a good, I think Ava still sounded good on the mic, sounded very confident in what she did. So she's the one that I'm much interested in going forward to see how much she grows and continues to push forward. I'm interested to see when she finally gets in the ring. But I did like that Wes semi convinced Trick to stay in the back, that Carmelo couldn't do it by himself, and that he kind of convinced him to stay in the back to show that Carmelo could do it on his own. But a couple of good segments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that, and again, it's more Wes coming into his own. I think. Then we get Zoey Stark first full heel match versus Sol Ruka. And she's, like I said, she's still green, but I think she's got a really big upside. I do like the character for Zoey. Zoey wins with basically like a knockout finisher. Sol got a lot of offense in this. It was kind of a showcase for her. But at the end of the day, Zoey just took care of business. And then we get Nikita finally showing up to get some retribution in quite the interesting outfit. It was very, it seems like her and Kaden Carter were, from what they were wearing, they had just gotten off shifts at a local gentleman's club. What do you think of this match with Zoey versus Sol?
I do, like you said. I think it was a very good showcase for Sol. As much as it was probably supposed to be a showcase for Zoe's heel turn, but I think she gave a lot. As much as in her promo, she was like, "I'm tired of giving the new kids all of my help and all of my advice and stuff like that." I feel like she gave a lot for this greener, younger talent that she went up against. I mean, I'm sure she did that more as like her professional self, and as she did the character of Zoey Stark. But I thought it was a really well done match for what was basically supposed to be a squash. And I like your comparison of their outfits after the match. I thought that was pretty funny. So that's a good one.
Yeah, when I saw what Kane Carr was wearing, I was like, what are we doing here? I mean, Nikita's wasn't that bad, but it was just interesting. So then we got another we go outside basically, and Idris and Malik invite Von Wagner and Stone to come out with them. Von ends up beating them up and rips the sweater. While Odyssey, who shows up really late to not even do anything.
Yeah.
And then we get a really good Charlie Dempsey promo. I really love this on how he's old school, how tough he is, how he's serious he is. I really love this promo. Like, he's an old school. He's like a younger, good-looking version of Timothy Thatcher, basically. I was getting that vibe from him. But what did you think of the stuff with Von Wagner and the guys and the Charlie Dempsey promo?
Yeah, it kind of keeps your mind on Von Wagner, that he can't kind of take out this tag team, and maybe we'll see something going forward with him and Odyssey. Odyssey just coming back, maybe that'll be a big match that they can build towards to kind of get him more established in that higher part of the card. But the Dempsey stuff was great. The promo was great. It was calling back to how he's kind of old school, talking about how he enjoyed watching a lot of the older guys wrestle, and kind of took a lot of stuff from their styles and such things like that. But yeah, just great and well done.
All right. Then we go on to Chase U versus Pretty Deadly for the tag titles, where the story of this match was Duke kept being absent for whenever Andre tried to make the tag. Thea is taken out by Pretty Deadly by mistake. We get a good hot tag action from Duke when he finally does get in. Then he tags in Chase when Chase was still recovering, and then hits him by accident, which leads to Pretty Deadly hitting their finisher, which is spilt milk, right? I think it's called.
Yeah.
I thought this was a solid match. I mean, Andre was in there for a long time. This is what I was meaning when I said this is a guy that you really you just have to beat the living crap out of him to keep him down, because he's the plucky, go getter. Like, you can't, beat my will, my spirit out of me. Like the opposite of McDonough, where it's like, you got to keep me down because I'm crazy. So I enjoyed this. Good storytelling, moves the Duke Hudson Chase U stuff forward. What'd you think of the match?
Yeah, I feel like Chase is one of those guys that's never going to take it, or never going to take a opportunity to be on TV for granted. I feel like if he knows he's in a spot, he's going to make the best of it, and he's going to do everything he can to do the best that he could possibly do. But this is good, more progression for the whole Chase U thing for Duke Hudson as it goes forward. He's obviously trying to be a team player, but he also wants to make sure that all of his compatriots are doing well, and that, obviously Hale gets knocked down at some point. He tries to go save her and make sure she's okay, but obviously he's leaving Chase in the ring at the same time to kind of get beat up a little bit more. But yeah, I thought this was really well done. I wouldn't have been super excited seeing this match if it had been announced beforehand, but I think it pulled off really well, and I think they did a good job. Yeah,
it builds to the Pretty Deadly has a solid outing, and it builds the whole Chase U storyline going forward. So I thought it was very effective. Mm-hmm. And we get footage from a recent live event where Roxanne is doing a TikTok with Nikita, and Indy shows up and starts with her. And we get Wes Lee walking backstage to Tony D. We catch a glimpse of him. We get Nikita approaching Katana and Kaden backstage to set up a 6-woman tag match, which will be coming in the next episode. Then we get a North American title match. We get Carmelo versus Wes Lee. I thought it was really great action, back and forth, an impressive win for Wes Lee. At the end, Dijak shows up with, I really love the, it's not the Titantron, I don't know what you would call it, the NXT Tron, with the kind of the prison, the jail cell thing go. And he's got a new look, and he takes out Wes Lee. So I thought that was really solid to end the show. I think this might be it for Carmelo. We may see him a little bit more, but I think he is as good as gone as well. So what do you think of the little stuff with Roxanne and in Indy? We get the setup for the 6-woman tag match, and then the North American title match with the close of the show.
Yeah, just a continued possible heel turn of Indy Hartwell going forward. They obviously want this to be a featured part of the product, as they've shown it almost every week, and they even show this clip from a live event, and Elektra's kind of loving it and seeing it from a distance. So that's a good feature for all three of those talents to kind of have that little spot. Interested to see the Caden Carter, Chance, and Nikita team going for the 6 men the next week against Toxic Attraction. That could be a really good match. And then Carmelo Hayes, obviously, his thing is that he doesn't miss, and he didn't miss on this one. Wes Lee definitely brought his end as well. I think these guys just have a really good chemistry with each other. They have very compatible styles. I just think they really busted out a good one here, and I was glad to see Wes Lee actually win, and I'm hoping either, like you said, maybe Carmelo goes to the main roster, or he kind of elevates himself and goes for Braun, and maybe we get a Braun Carmelo match eventually. So, but it was good to see Dijak actually debut as well. So I'm kind of surprised they debuted both kind of like, vignette guys at the same time. I think it's cool that they did that as well, but I kind of would have maybe staggered that a little bit at the same time. But I'm really happy to see Dijak back, and I'm really excited to see what he does going forward on this brand, obviously.
Yeah, I think if they had a little bit more TV time weekly, I think they could spread things out. I think they probably have to group stuff together because they are trying to accomplish a lot and don't have a lot of time to do it in sometimes. So I think that's maybe why they compound some stuff. All right, so I thought it was a solid month of television. I think they're on a good run here. There's some transitioning going on because I think they're starting to obviously build up some women. Definitely on the women's side, they're going to be building up some because I think there's going to be some losses soon on that roster. But let's talk about stock up, stock down. So let's go with some wrestlers or superstars that their stock is up after this month of television. Logan, why don't you give us your first one?
Wes Lee is definitely one. In the first episode, he was featured in the tag title match with the world champion of this brand. I don't know if you technically consider the NXT title a world championship, but it's the highest title of this brand that we're talking about. So he was featured in that with him. I think he was in the the contract signing. I thought he did really well in that, and then in the match, I think he did really well as well. So
I had him noted 3 of the 4 episodes under my stock up column. I'm going to say Ivy Nile is one of mine. She got a lot of good character work, had a nice win on TV. I think she's coming along. Do they need a secondary belt for the women? I don't know. I mean, but when you have somebody like Mandy, who's just holding it for so long, I don't think we're going to have somebody once ever Mandy does lose, which I don't think is going to be probably for another 2 months at least. They need something else for the other women, the other singles women to compete with. So that's my one of my stock ups. You got any other stock ups?
Just the debut of just debuts. I'll lump them together. But Isla Dawn, I thought she looked really good in her debut. I'm interested to see where she goes forward. And Dijak coming in this last episode, and I'm really, really interested to see where he goes and what they kind of do with him. Obviously, it seems like he's going to go after Wes Lee at first. We'll kind of see where it goes as the TV progresses, but I'm very interested to see where he ends up.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a couple of kind of character changes, so to speak. I got Zoey Stark. I thought the heel turn came off well. I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with for a while. And Indus Sher. I think they're a really nice brawling tag team. They're finally looks like they're getting on the same page. So I'm excited to see what direction those guys go in, because I think they're going to get the belts at some point as well. I don't know who. I don't think they'll be the ones to take it from Pretty Deadly. I think somebody else will. Who that is, I don't know. Okay, so you any other stock ups, or you want to move on to stock down?
Maybe an honorable mention to Indy, just their progression towards maybe this heel character. I think she was featured a good bit, and I think that's good for her. So, but yeah, maybe just an honorable mention in her area.
Okay, so stock down, Javier Bernal. Don't like the guy at all. I don't like his character. I don't like the backstage stuff. It is kind of amusing, but in a kind of that's a dumb thing way. So maybe the guy will change my mind at some point, but for right now, yeah, I think stock down. You have what's your first stock down?
Andy hating on Big Body Javi. How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry. At least I'm not comparing people to Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm sorry, Jesus. I'm on stock down because I made that. I'm just kidding. But hate to throw out the obvious here, but SCRYPTS is stock down because that did not go well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
This is kind of a surprising name, just because it's like we've been here, done that before, and she hasn't had a match on television this month. Roxanne Perez, where's she been?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And her and Indy were buddies, and now Indy's like, getting heelish and it's going to turn on her. Didn't we just see that with Cora Jade? She's got to learn how to be a little bit better judge of character, I think.
She needs to stop being friends with these assholes.
Stop being friends with assholes, basically. Any other stock downs you got?
I mean, I know we liked that she kind of took out each of the Toxic Attraction members before she faced Mandy, but Alba Fyre kind of failed at the title match again. So as much as she did good stuff at the beginning of the month, not cashing in on that Toxic Attraction interfereless last woman standing match. Obviously, she got screwed because she got taken out by somebody else. But the fact that she didn't pull through and actually win the title kind of disappointed me. So I'll give that one a stock down.
All right, I'm going to say Briggs and Jensen, because I think they're kind of their moment in the sun is past. Unless they have some kind of character change with them, maybe a la give them the dark jeans like they did with the Smoking Guns kind of thing. I don't know, but I think they're going to be more of a comedy team, so to speak, going forward. That they'll be fodder for other teams. I think that's kind of the role they're going to settle in for, at least for a while. So I'm going to say their stock is down right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree with you. I thought with the them being the NXT UK champions, they were starting to kind of treat them a little bit more seriously, but it seems that they've kind of fallen back into this Jensen is kind of the goofball that always is looking at the ladies and all that kind of stuff, and Briggs is the serious one that tries to keep Jensen in line. But it seems like they've kind of fallen back into being a comedy team, so kind of disappointing. But I don't really have anybody else stock down. I think a lot of people came off pretty well, but do you have anybody else?
I just thought having Idris and Malik get beat up, because this is a tag team we're just starting to learn a little bit about, and then they get the shit kicked out of them by one guy, albeit a big guy. But I don't know. Maybe it makes them more sympathetic, especially with the adding the touch of the sweater vest getting ripped off.
Yeah.
But and Wendy Choo, losing like she did to Cora. I mean, hopefully there's somewhat of a character change on tap for her. Because I do think she's solid in the ring. I do. I like her. I just don't think the character's got legs. That's all. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think she's definitely headed for something different with the way that match ended and how she was kind of crying afterwards. I think she's gonna kind of be over everybody's shit at this point and kind of stand up for herself. So. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind her at some point being on the main roster and putting her with Xia Li. It's like some kind of badass, Asian woman tag team. I mean, we had the Kabuki Warriors. My beloved Kairi Sane. I love me some Kairi Sane. I thought she was adorable. And then when she was evil, oh my God, I thought,
right, yeah.
So I do miss her. She's great in the ring. I'm hoping we see her at some Rumbles here and there. But I could see her and Xia, because Xia is somebody also that was brought up and she hadn't done that much at NXT, and I'd like to see a little bit more because under Vince they turned her like 3 friggin' times. It was like she was like the Big Show. They turned her like 3 friggin' times in a matter of like weeks. It's like, what the hell's happening here?
Whatever fit the storyline. So
yeah, basically, it's her and what's her face, the sassy Southern Belle who's now the Marine.
Lacey Evans.
Yeah, Lacey. I have brain fart. Sorry. It's like they keep just. That's one thing I'm glad we're not going to hopefully not see much of is like, what are they heel this week? They're that kind of stuff. Let's stay solid, people. All right. So overall though, let's talk about thoughts on Booker T in his first month as a color commentator. Like I may have mentioned, I kind of like Booker here. I think him being with developmental is a better fit for him. because he doesn't have to be as serious.
Yeah.
He could be more in his Booker T ridiculousness isms, so to speak, with the shucky ducky and quack quack and flippy dippies or whatever the hell he's going to say. I'm okay with that here, and I like that we got Wade up to SmackDown. So, what are your thoughts on Booker as the color commentator so far?
Yeah, I think he came across really well in that contract signing that he did with Wes and Carmelo. I struggle with him being very genuine in his commentary, because I think sometimes it seems like he gets really excited about something that's either not really that exciting, or it just seems like it comes off as really forced in some situations. So I struggle with that a little bit, but I think, like you just said, I think him being down in NXT allows him to maybe get away with some of his little zany wackiness that he can pull out. So I'm willing to give it a little bit more time, but and I know I'll make my podcast father, Sean Kidd, very proud with saying that Booker T has not been my favorite commentator.
Yeah, I was
I'm willing to let it, marinate a little bit more, and maybe I'll come around on him. But not the hugest fan yet, but he's not like the most annoying or anything either. So.
Yeah, look, JBL showed some goofiness at times with some stuff. So, I mean, not as bad as Booker T, but it does happen with some of these guys. Like I said, I think if they're going to have him somewhere, this is the best place to put him.
Yeah, you're right. For sure. 100%.
All right. So we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. Anyone we got heading up soon between now and we'll say the first of the year?
Cameron Grimes 100% will be on the main roster by either the end of this year or the beginning of next. He's 100% going up for sure.
Yeah. I agree with that. I really don't see anybody else, but I think there's going to be, come WrestleMania season, I think there's going to be a bunch we'll talk about later, like Alba, I think. Maybe JD McDonough is one that he could come out of nowhere, him going up to the main roster. Carmelo is in the discussion. Obviously, Toxic Attraction will be in discussion once Mandy loses, which I think she's definitely holding it at least till the Rumble weekend with the takeover. I think she's not. I'm convinced now. If there's a title match, even if it's somebody like who we think is going to win, like Alba on an NXT episode, she ain't losing it on NXT. She's had the belt for so long; it's going to happen at a takeover or whatever they call them, main events, whatever these are. Any other thoughts on Iron Survivor that we didn't really talk about?
Nah, I mean, I think we discussed it pretty well. I'm interested to see the concept and practice, but a lot of people were very confused by how it was described. But I think I think once it's put into practice and people kind of see it on TV, it'll be something that'll be enjoyed. And the Creed brothers are the only other person that you didn't mention that I could see being on the main roster for too long. So other than that, you got them pretty much all down pat. I think that's pretty much the next class that's going to go up. So.
All right, cool. And then we really don't know much about Deadline outside of, because they haven't announced the participants in the Iron Survivor match. So I really don't have any kind of predictions or thoughts on Deadline. Do you have anything?
I don't. Yeah, I was going to say, like you said, they're going to announce the participants in that match on this next episode that airs the night after we record this, obviously. We're going to have Cruz and Braun Breaker, of course. I think we may get the Indus Sher Creed Brothers match there as well. But maybe we get Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, but I think that might be more of a TV match at the same time. But they could add a North American title match. Maybe they do Dijak, Wes Lee, or maybe they'll do I'm not real sure, but I know we're getting the 2 Iron Survivor matches and Braun and Apollo. But other than that, they could go a couple different directions.
Yeah, maybe a women's tag title match. Maybe Toxic Attraction gets one more shot at it. I don't know, and maybe even win it. Nobody's won the belts 3 times.
Exactly.
So, could be. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Cool. Yeah, like I said, solid month of television. We got a NXT premium live event coming. So we're going to be back to break all that down in about a month from now, because we got the also talk about the lead up to the Rumble. Well, who from NXT? That's homework for you, Logan. Between now and then, is who do we think from NXT could appear in the Royal Rumble this year on both sides, the men and the women? All right. So before we say goodnight, though, anything you want to plug, your social medias, anything you want to direct people that you've done lately?
I've got a bunch of shit on this Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, so I'm just gonna run through them real quick. YouTube Roulette, Wrestling Chicken Salad, Highway to the Impact Zone is the main one that I host. We are just now getting into 2006 Impact. We'll be doing Final Resolution 2006 on our next episode. 7 Months of Dangers on the North-South Connection. We kind of finished the year end's worth of episodes on our last recording session. Popcorn Chicken Salad, Starflation, obviously this show you're listening to, and then I'm going to be on an episode of Ruthlessly Aggressive coming up. So I've got a pretty busy schedule coming up, but I'm excited to get in some more of the stuff that we're going to talk about on some of those episodes. So you're going to be hearing a lot of Logan. So
hey, nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So as for me, I do appear here on the Wrestling Network occasionally. I do have a couple of shows that have been on prolonged hiatuses, which is Evolution, which is the breakdown of a legendary wrestler's career. Those are deep dives, long shows, and then Wrestling Great Debate, and maybe a return to the wrestling edition of Making Mount Rushmore. We'll see. But my primary home is on the feed that I actually am the proprietor of. That is the Place to Be Nation Pro Pop feed. So, I'm so confused. But yeah, check me out. We have the video jukebox song of the day that drops every weekday. I'm usually on there 2 to 3 times a week, just doing a little live watch pod blast of a great music video, great song, who knows, whatever. But they are a lot of fun. Great way to start your day. I have several podcasts on there. I have the new comic show that I do with Sean, Tim, and Shiflett called Traders of the Lost Ark, where we talk about a comics run, a short run. We just did Capwolf in our first episode, and the second episode will be dropping probably right before Christmas time. We also have Pop Goes the Classics, Disney. Our next episode will be Hercules as we go through the animated features. Recently dropped the 6th episode of the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational podcast. Myself, Miranda Berthold, talking about all things Muppets, especially we finished up season 1 of The Muppet Show. And lots of other shows. We have 2 group watch episodes of Laugh-In Theater coming out for Christmas. We're going to be watching Office Christmas Party as well as A Christmas Story with different guests featured on those. So you'll have to tune in to hear who will be on them. I think Logan will be on one of them, and there could be a family feud erupting on that episode. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think it's going to be a really fun time. And also, Stream Lounge. Check out Stream Lounge. I am on there under Blockbuster Rewatch and Laugh-In Theater, where I am doing, I'm finishing up the MCU right now under Blockbuster Rewatch, and I'm also doing Pixar live watches under Laugh-In Theater, but I have more stuff coming under both. And also, as I mentioned earlier in the show, Peacock is now onboarded on Stream Lounge, which means we can do WWE shows. So there's going to be a lot more wrestling live watches on Stream Lounge, so keep an eye on the social medias for that, on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere. You're going to see Logan, I'm sure you'll be on there doing some. A lot of people from the Place to Be Nation family, and as well as the North-South Connection, will start doing some fun live watches. We got one out of the way. We did have some technical difficulties and hiccups, but once we got through that, we had a really great time. It was myself, Tim Capel, until his microphone died or his headphones died. I had Steve Riddle and Keith Langston. We watched Survivor Series 1990, which I love that show. It is just, there's so many great talking points and incoherent promos, the gobbledygooker, Undertaker's debut. It was a lot of fun. We had a really nice group in there. If you're not familiar with Stream Lounge, it's streamlounge.io. Go check it out because it's a fun place to do live watches, and eventually, later on, we will release them as podcasts. The guys who run it are great, and everybody is very excited, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I told the guys over there, like, be careful what you wish for, because we're going to be the guests that wouldn't leave. If any of you are old enough to remember that SNL skit from the 70s. All right, cool. So Logan, thanks again for talking NXT with me for an evening. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a great time. Thank you all for listening out there to our second episode. We'll be back in about a month's time and break down Deadline as well as the next month of NXT television. For Logan Crosland, I am Andy Atherton. Thank you for listening to Who's Next, and we'll check you out on the next episode. Take care.